I cannot live without books. Do you want to know who you are? Don't ask. Act. Action will delineate and define you. I predict future happiness for Americans if they can prevent the government from wasting the labors of the people under the pretense of taking care of them. Honesty is the first chapter of the book. Wisdom, the legitimate powers of government. The legitimate powers of government. Shut up, world, it spins and whirls and twirls. I hate loud engines. Rhyme it. Extend to such acts only as are injurious to others. It does me to no injury for my neighbor to say there are 20 gods or no God, and neither picks my pocket nor breaks my leg. The man who reads nothing at all is better educated than the man who reads nothing but newspapers. I sincerely believe that banking establishments are more dangerous than standing armies, and that the principle of spending money to be paid by posterity under the name of funding is but the swindling of futurity on a large scale. On matters of style, swim with the current masters of principle, stand like a rock. The most valuable of all talents is that of never using two words when one will do. I'm a greater believer in luck, and I find the harder I work, the more I have of it. Spit it rapid forever, I said. We in America do not have government by the majority. We have a government by the majority who participate. I would rather be exposed to the inconveniences attending too much liberty than to those attending too small a degree of it. Our civil rights have no dependence on our religious opinions and any more than our opinions in physics or geometry. History in general only informs us what bad government is. Nothing gives one person so much advantage over another as to remain always cool and unruffled under all circumstances. The people cannot be all and always well informed. The part which is wrong will be discontented in proportion to the importance of the facts they misconceive. If they remain quiet under such misconceptions, is lethargy, the forerunner of death to the public liberty. What country before ever existed a century and a half without rebellion? And what country can preserve its liberties if their rulers are not warned from time to time that their people preserve the spirit of resistance? Let them take arms. The remedy is to set them right as to facts, pardon and pacify them, what signify a few lives lost in a century or two. A tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. It is its natural manure. I have observed, indeed generally, that while in Protestant countries the defections from the Platonic Christianity of the priests is to deism in Catholic countries they are to atheism, Diderot, de Alembert, de Halbach, Cotter set, and are known to have been among the most virtuous men. Their virtue then must have had some other foundation than the love of God, determined never to be idle. No person will have occasion to complain of the want of time who never loses any. It is wonderful how much may be done if we are always doing. Religion, your reason is now mature enough to examine this object. In the first place, divest yourself of all bias in favor of novelty and singularity of opinion. Shake off all the fears and servile prejudices under which weak minds are servilely crouched. Fix reason firmly in her seat and call to her tribunal every effect, every opinion, question with boldness, even the existence of a God, because if there be one, he must more approve to the homage of the reason than that of the blindfolded fear. You will naturally examine first the religion of your own country. Read the Bible, then as you would read a Livy or Tacticus about the facts which are within the ordinary course of nature. You will believe on the authority of the writer as you do those of the same kind in Livy and Tacticus. The testimony of the writer weighs in their favor, and one scale in their not being against the laws of nature does not weigh against them, but those facts in the Bible which contradict the laws of nature must be examined with more care and under a variety of faces. Here you must recur to the pretensions of the writer to inspiration from God. examine upon the evidence his pretensions are founded, and whether the evidence is so strong as that his falsehood would be more improbable than a change in the laws of nature. In the case he relates, for example, in the book of Joshua, we are told the sun stood still several hours. To read the fact of livelier tactics, we should class it with their showers of blood, speaking of statues, beasts, and etc. But it is said that the writer of that book was inspired to examine, therefore, candidly, what evidence there is of his having been inspired. Pretension is entitled to your inquiry because millions believe it. On the other hand, you are astronomer enough to know how contrary it is to the law of nature that a body revolving on its axis as the earth does should have stopped, should not, by that sudden stoppage, have prostrated animals, trees, buildings, and should have a certain time have resumed its revolution, and that without a second general prostration is this a rest of the earth's motion, or the evidence which affirms it most within the law of probabilities. You will next read the New Testament. It is the history of a personage called Jesus. Keep in your eye the opposite pretensions, one of those who say he was begotten by God, born of a virgin, suspend and reserve the laws of nature at will. I'm convinced I'm Thomas Jefferson forever. Stop trapping and never lives happily ever after.